Shalom Israel. We're going to continue where we left off at previously in Acts the 10th chapter. I'm going to start at the 4th verse. Okay, because we're concentrating now on the prayer. Okay, I'm going to read 10:4 in the book of Acts. And when he looked on him, which is Cornelius, when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said unto him, "Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for a memorial before the Father." Now the question is, what are the prayers? I'm going to guarantee you, okay, that Cornelius wasn't praying for a new pair of sandals, a new coat, or praying to hit the mega millions. That's not what he was talking about. There was a particular prayer, okay, that Cornelius was praying. And it's very important that we understand this. These are not superficial prayers that they were praying for. These prayers are making reference to the conditions of the 12 tribes of Israel. This is going to be another attribute to let us know that Cornelius was an Israelite. It's very important. And to prove that, I'm going to go to Luke, the 1st chapter, 10:13, where we must understand custom. What was the custom of our people as far as prayer was concerned? All right, then go to the book of Luke, the 1st chapter. I'm going to read 10 to 13. I'm going to read the 9th verse. According to the custom of the priest's office, his lot, we're talking about Zechariah, and Zechariah fell into a lot, and that lot was called the course of, or the lot of Abijah. All right, and I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper into detail, because a lot of brothers believe that the Messiah was born during the time of the Passover. The Messiah was not born during the time of the Passover. The Messiah was born during the 7th month, the 7th Sabbath month, which is the month of Tishri, all right, during the time of the month of the Feast of Tabernacles. And I'm going to bring that out in more detail, but all this is explained in Luke, the 1st chapter. Okay, but I just wanted to touch on that just a little bit. But the 9th verse, Luke 1 and 9, it says, according to the custom of the priest's office, and we're talking about Zechariah, his lot was to burn incense when he came into the temple of the Lord. And the whole multitude of the people were praying without at the time of incense. Where it says without, they were praying outside. Okay, it was Zechariah's position to go inside of the temple because it was his lot. It was his turn. Okay, because there's 24 courses of this whole priesthood, and Zechariah fell under the course of Abijah. And I just wanted to touch on that. Now, the 11th verse. And there appeared unto him, which was Zechariah, an angel of the Messiah, standing on the right side of the altar of incense. And when Zacharias saw him, he was troubled, and fear fell upon him. 13th verse. But the angel or the messenger said unto him, Fear not, Zechariah, for thy prayer is heard. That's very important. Thy prayer is heard, and conjunction to your prayer, and because and is a conjunction. And thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. Well, we want to capitalize and put emphasis on what was this prayer. We see this prayer being done by Zechariah. We see this prayer being done by Cornelius, and we're going to go into further detail where even Peter is making this same prayer. And again, this prayer has nothing to do with monetary gain, or they're praying for substance. This was a particular prayer, something that they were praying, and this was done 3 times a day. It's very important that we understand that. And that prayer is called the Amidah. It's called the standing prayer. It's very important that we understand that. I have some notes here, and I talked about it earlier. But first, let me go back to Acts the 10th chapter, so we can stay online with everything. Okay, but this prayer, okay, that's called the Amidah, which is called the standing prayer. It was composed around 450 BC, around that time, by 120 men, okay, of the great assembly, including Ezra and Nehemiah, at the time of the rebuilding of the temple. That's very, very important. This is when this Amidah, okay, this standing prayer was composed during that time. It's very, very important. And it was to be said while standing, okay, 3 times a day at the hours of prayer. The hours of prayer now at 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and 3 o'clock. Okay, but 9 a.m. in Hebrew time, we're talking about the 3rd hour. Okay, 12 o'clock is the 6th hour. 3 o'clock is the ninth hour. Now, when we go back now, okay, to Acts, the 10th chapter, the 3rd verse, we see and he saw in a vision about the ninth hour. The ninth hour would be 3 o'clock p.m. And then when you jump down now to the 4th verse, and when he, which was Cornelius, looked on him, he was afraid and said, "What is it, Lord?" And he said unto him, "Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for memorial before the Father." Now, again, what was this prayer? This prayer was the Amidah, okay, the standing prayer. This was a custom of prayer for our people. Why? Because we have to remember, as we put the pieces of the puzzle together, during the time of the Messiah's ministry, okay, even during the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, Israel was under captivity. During the time of Ezra and Nehemiah, they were under the Persian captivity. During the time of the Messiah's ministry, we were under the Greco-Roman Empire. Jerusalem was being besieged by, or being ran by, the Romans. Okay, they didn't like this. They will pray 3 times a day, okay, for the deliverance of the nation of Israel out of the hands of the oppressor. That was the prayer. Not the type of prayer, again, I'm going to say this again, not the type of prayer that we pray today. "Oh, Father, can you please bless me with a new pair of shoes? Father, can you please bless me with a new coat? Can you bless me with the new Benz?" That's not the kind of prayer that you're supposed to be praying for. You're supposed to be praying collectively as a community for the redemption of your people. We're supposed to be praying, okay, for the Messiah to return and for the reunification of the 12 tribes of Israel. Those are the rightful prayers. Now, I'm not saying now that you can't pray for health and other little things that you might need. Yeah, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But, okay, the prayer that we're supposed to be praying, and we have to keep this in mind because this is about a community. They were praying for the reunification of both northern and southern kingdom, the messianic era, and when the Messiah is finally reigning and we can now worship and serve the Most High without fear. What I like personally about the Amidah, the standing prayer, is the 10th prayer. Okay, I'm going to read that to you. The 10th prayer. It's called the Gathering of the Exiles. And this is what it says. It says, "Sound the great shofar," which is the trumpet, "for our freedom." Our freedom is going to be when we are finally regathered from the 4 corners of the earth. And again, we can serve the Messiah without fear. "Raise the ensign to gather our exiles." Who are the exiles? The scriptures tell us in Amos 9:9 that Israel has been sifted amongst the 4 corners of the earth. All right? And this is what we're doing now. Raise the ensign to gather our exiles and gather us from the 4 corners of the earth. Blessed are you, O Father, who gathers the dispersed of his people, Yasha Allah. That's very, very important. All right? And when you look at my series, make sure you look at the chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so that way you can get the full understanding of what's going on here. And what I'm bringing out to you today, and I challenge anybody, that Cornelius here was not praying for a new pair of sandals. Cornelius was praying, okay, at the 9th hour, because these prayers are said 3 times a day, okay, at 9 a.m., which is the 3rd hour, 12 p.m., okay, which is the 6th hour, and at 3 o'clock p.m., which is the 9th hour. And we see here now is that Cornelius is praying at the 9th hour, which is 3 p.m. It's very important that we understand the scripture. Okay, this man here, Cornelius, is following Hebrew customs. All right, he's a Hebrew Israelite, and I'm going to go further into detail in explaining this. All right, now I'm going to read verse 4. "And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thy alms are come up for a memorial before the Father." And we know that Cornelius gave alms, and the Messiah talked about giving alms to the poor. Okay, so this man is following all of the traditions, okay, all of the customs of a Hebrew Israelite. All right, I just wanted to bring that out, and also too to bring out the fact too that in the book of Luke, the first chapter 9 to 13, we have also Zechariah praying for the reunification of northern and southern kingdom. All right, it's called the Amidah, the standing prayer, and I like the 10th benediction where it talks about the regathering of the exiles that's been scattered amongst the four corners of the earth. I just wanted to bring that out. Now I'm going to read. Let's go to. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit here. I want to go to verse 9. Okay, verse 9. Excuse me. No, what I'm going to do actually, I'm going to take my time with this. I'm going to read verse 5. All right. This is all uncut here. All right. This is the way that we do it. I just want to make sure that there's a clear understanding on this. 10 and 5. And now send men to Joppa and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter, who lodgeth with one Simon, a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. And when the messenger which spoke unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things unto him, he sent them to Joppa. Now, this is where it gets real important at. On the morrow, as they went on their journey, and drew near or nigh into the city, Peter went up upon the house to pray, about the 6th hour. This is not a coincidence. These guys are understanding that there's a custom that we follow, and that custom was the standing prayer, the Amidah. We have now, like I made mention earlier, Cornelius making this prayer at the 9th hour. The 9th hour is 3 o'clock p.m., and we have here in verse 9, in Acts the 10th chapter, verse 9, that Peter went up upon the house to pray about the 6th hour. The 6th hour is 12 o'clock p.m. Verse 10. Verse 10, and make sure I'm getting everything here correct now. Verse 10, and he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance. And he saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descending unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the 4 corners and let down to the earth. Now, there's a lot of key things that's happening here, all right? And we have to understand how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. The first thing that we're going to tackle here is where it says, and he saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descended unto him. What is that vessel? Okay, so let's go to Hosea 8 and 8. All right, let's get some clarity and some understanding on this vessel that Peter saw. Okay, this is all about clarity and making sure that we get a good understanding of what's going on here. Okay, this is Hosea 8 and 8, and Hosea was sent to prophesy against northern kingdom. All right, Hosea 8 and 8. Israel, which is northern kingdom, is swallowed up. All right, northern kingdom is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel. As a vessel. This vessel is making reference to northern kingdom. All right, northern kingdom. These are descriptive or descriptions of northern kingdom. Northern kingdom is being referenced to as a vessel. All right, we have to know how to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I'm going to read on. Israel or Yasha'Allah, northern kingdom, is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles. Now that they are among the Gentiles, they're going to now partake in the same things that the Gentiles do that now makes them a Gentile. They've been exiled out of the land of Canaan, all right, Jerusalem, and they're now acting and behaving just like the Gentiles. So you can't make a differentiation between the two. They're amongst the Gentiles, and they're acting like Gentiles, and they're being referenced to as a vessel, just the way Peter saw it in his dream. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to continue on with For the Last Damn Time. Shalom.